you know? And here we go with round one. Did you know?
COVID vaccine is free and easy to get. You don't need insurance or an appointment to get your vaccine. Vaccines are available at many locations near you.
And now we're going to double the value. Did you know?
The COVID-19 vaccine is always free of cost. You can visit pharmacies, community health centers, and other health providers in your neighborhood.
And now for the lightning round. Did you know?
The Delta variant of COVID is a mutation that has health experts worried because it's twice as contagious.
Then for our finale. Did you know?
The best way to protect yourself from the COVID Delta variant is to get fully vaccinated. Get your vaccine today.
Find out more at kingcounty.gov/vaccine. Did you know?
Join Rainier Avenue Radio from 5 to midnight for Sunday evening sound sessions. Jazz from the cabinets from Big Poppy.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy.
Sergio LaCour's Love Lines.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Go to the phone line. Tell her who we talking to.
Sage Prince and Just My Opinion.
This is Sage, and that's just about going to do it for the first half of Just My Opinion.
K-Fox Nightbeat with Nasty Ness Rodriguez.
The beat of the Fox. K-Fox Nightbeat, Nasty Ness.
You know what? You're going to listen from 5 to midnight. Just turn it on and don't stop. DJ Alibaba. The Underground Surround Sound Start Time with Paul Pearson.
Tuning in, my name is Paul Pearson.
Sunday evening sound
Start
sessions on Rainier Avenue Radio. Trust me, you'll be listening the entire time from 5 to midnight. Sunday evening, your sound session on Rainier Avenue Radio.
November is American Indian Heritage Month, so please join Rainier Avenue Radio.world to celebrate all month long the history, the contributions, and the accomplishments of our first Americans. Again, please stay tuned to Rainier Avenue Radio.world to celebrate and honor American Indians during American Indian Heritage Month.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Don't forget to log on www.rainieravenueradio.world.
Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's me, Tony B, and this is our special Impacts of the Coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding community show that we do Friday from 1 to 3. Now, when I said that was, I guess what some people would say is, it's not a real word, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean. We've been doing this since March 13th of 2020. They had no idea we would be doing this long. Here it is, November 12th, 2021. But it impacts everything, continues to impact everything. The landscape changes. And of course, the unanticipated challenges from those landscape changes mounts, as well as the rigors of the day-to-day of dealing with all of the things that are impacted by the COVID pandemic that has touched everything. And this is a global pandemic. Make no mistake about it. It's not like if one state is doing better, then that state is going to be okay. It's not like if one city is doing better, then that one city is going to be okay. Or if it's one community that is doing well, then that community is going to be okay. No, it's all connected. It's all connected. We got another outstanding show for you planned. Again, the landscape changes constantly, and we try to give you updated information on a regular basis every week to keep you informed about what those impacts are and to let you know that you're not alone. Part of the isolation that took place, and still in a lot of instances continues to take place, people can't meet and share information in situations that they had previously done. Now, there's been some adjusting, yes, but again, things keep changing. One of those changes is children 5 to 11 can now be vaccinated. A little later on at the program at 2:30 from Kaiser Permanente, we will have someone joining us who is a nurse, and We'll talk about uh, mental health of 5 to 11-year-olds and what this looks like, along with personal experiences and how this is going. 2 o'clock, we're going to talk with Rizz. If that name sounds familiar, that is the Rizz, who is the voice of the Seattle Mariners, play-by-play announcer for I don't know how many years. He'll be joining us. He does and has been doing annually an event called Toys for Kids. It was in partnership with the late Dave Henderson, former Seattle Mariners star and Boston Red Sox star baseball player, World Series winner. And what they have done for a number of years is got toys, lots of toys, and given them away to a number of different agencies that rely on them to supply the toys that they need for their toy giveaways. Obviously, the pandemic impacted and affected that, and it's back again this year. We're going to talk with Rizz about Rizz about Toys for Kids and how that's working out this year and how the pandemic affected their ability to, make sure that kids who are in homes that celebrate the holidays had toys. Also, Mark Smith is going to be joining us at 1:30 to talk about Triumph Recordings. He's a local from this area musician, but does things all over the place and started a record label during a pandemic, a gospel record label during a pandemic. Yes, entertainment industry was impacted, as you know, by the pandemic. There were no performances. So we're going to talk to Mark Smith about how that's coming on. Triumph Recordings. Joining me right now, and I'm calling this show Air. All right, I'll say everything you want and need to know about the child vaccine. It's a lot. We may not get to everything, but if you have a question, here's the deal. Give us a call at 206-290-9685. And we'll eventually get that number up here on the screen for you. If you're watching, if you're listening, I will say it a couple of more times so that you can write it down if you'd like to. Whatever you want to say, you're not going to be edited. You can say it. You can ask a question. You can talk about your experience. 206-290-9685. And we haven't had the hotline operational for a while, but we're back. So again, if you want to join this conversation, 206-290-9685. Right now, I would like to welcome to the program Taylor Gaston. Taylor, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Under the circumstances, Taylor, I have to say I am fantastic. Fantastic. Under the circumstances. Well, thank you for joining us. Taylor is a program manager 3. I don't want to leave that out because that 3 may make a big difference. And if you've gone beyond 1 and 2, I want to give you your full credit. Program manager 3 on the policy and government affairs team, as well as the place-based strategy team, which currently focuses on COVID-19 outreach to youth ages 12 to 24. That's probably going to change. The Latina and Hispanic community and the East African community in Kent specifically. You're working with those communities, Taylor?
Yes, currently we are only working with those 3 communities on my team, but several other teams are working on a few different communities across South King County.
All right. Well, I'm calling this everything you want and need to know because everything's on the table. This is very important to people. It's been an important issue for a long time, and now there's a vaccine available for 5 to 11-year-olds, and there is still misinformation. There is still disinformation. There are still folks who feel very strongly about not getting the vaccination. There are people who feel, and government, and business, and scientists who feel very strongly about taking the vaccine. There's an issue about what we're going to teach in schools. And now you add on top of that, um, should there be a mandate on vaccines in schools? What are the rights of the parents? It's just a lot to unpack, Taylor, and I'm sure that you know that. And so that's why I'm saying everything you want and need to know, because we can try and just address just one thing, but as you know, for families, it's not just one thing. It is everything happening all at the same time. So I want to start with this, Taylor. Let's find out a little bit more about you. I talked a little bit about, your professional background, but where are you from? Tell us a little information about yourself, and why you are doing this particular work in these communities.
Yeah, so I'm actually a native of Seattle. Currently, I do reside in Kent. And
That's kind of close to South Seattle, so we can use some South Seattle love on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Absolutely. Yeah, I grew up on Kenyon, so very, very, that's true South Seattle right there.
Yeah. I tell people all of the time, because you know that, especially, previous to the pandemic and during the pandemic, a lot of times what you heard and hear about South Seattle is about crime or about but we have amazing people in our South Seattle community. And during the pandemic, a lot of what you'd call ordinary people did extraordinary things during the pandemic. And see, there we go. I didn't know you from South Seattle, but here it is again. Okay, I'm gonna let you get back to your story.
Yes, from South Seattle, currently in Kent. I went to college at Washington State University and got a BA in kinesiology and statistical informatics.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then went on to pursue my master's in public health and epidemiology at Baylor University. And now I'm here with King County, working as a program manager. And honestly, the reason why I love this work is I love to engage with community. I feel that with public health, oftentimes they have this agenda of get the jab, or this is what we need from community, but I get to come in and say, hey, this is what community needs from you. And so getting to be kind of like that voice, that liaison from community to public health is really why I love doing the work, because there's so many health outcomes that the communities I work with have concerns about outside of COVID. And so it's like, we want to, as public health, we want to know, okay, yes, COVID is a big issue, but what else are you struggling with? What other health outcomes need to be improved? And so that's what I get to do. I get to find out what communities are struggling with and go back to public health and say, hey, this is what community is saying. What are our action steps? And that's truly why I love this work and why I'm doing it.
Well, Taylor, thank you for what you do. And coming from South Seattle, I'm not surprised. You are probably aware of the urgencies and the challenges that are unanticipated, that impact our communities, that don't immediately get mainstream attention until it's way too late. I ain't gonna say too late. It's way too late. But it begins to impact other. And that's why I say Seattle and surrounding communities. So here we go. Taylor, and this puts you kind of in the hot seat, So I wanted to get that pleasantry in there because this is an important issue to people. Well, first of all, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, now recommends the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 5 through 11 years old. Let's start with that. Is it exclusively the Pfizer vaccine?
Yes, currently it is just the Pfizer vaccine.
And we have Johnson and Johnson, we have Moderna, we've got Pfizer, and so a question folks may have as we go into this is, well, wait a minute. We're told that there's 3 vaccines for adults, and then you can even mix, from what I'm told, the vaccines if you get a booster shot. And now you got a vaccine coming out 5 to 11, and you wait, it's just Pfizer. Can you give us some background information to explain why that is the case? Because you start to hear rumors about things. You start to hear disinformation about why is Pfizer exclusively the vaccine that is available right now for 5 to 11-year-olds?
So currently, the reason that Pfizer is Pfizer is being offered to 5 to 11-year-olds and not the other vaccines is because Pfizer has recently completed the trials for children. And so the number one priority of Pfizer is, always safety and efficacy. And so therefore, that's why Pfizer has now released that they have been able to give children ages 5 to 11 the vaccine.
Okay. And prior to the children's vaccine, when we were doing the initial vaccine rollout, there was, and rightfully so, a lot of concern about what this rollout would look like. Who would be getting the vaccines? How many of the vaccines would be distributed to various communities? Now we're talking about 5 to 11-year-olds who don't really have the capacity to go and get a vaccine for themselves. Let's talk about the process of the rollout for the vaccine. We know it's here now. Folks may be wondering, well, how do I get it? Where do I get it? What is the process? I think that everybody knows now that you can get a vaccine for free. I hope everybody knows that, but we'll just reiterate that. Just again, everything you need and want to know. So I'm going to give you the floor here for a minute before I start asking and find more questions out you. Explain the rollout to us in terms that we can understand. What does that mean when they say the vaccine is now available? How does that translate into what people now call the jab?
Yeah. So currently, now that Pfizer is available for 5 to 11-year-olds, that means you can go to your local pharmacy. Some local pediatrician offices will have the Pfizer vaccine, not all of them. It is recommended that you can call ahead to see if your primary care pediatrician is offering the Pfizer vaccine. But essentially, you would go to any of the pharmacies, specifically ones that are probably closer to your home would be the best bet. You just call, make an appointment, and you'll be able to get your child vaccinated. Now, one of the reasons why not all the pediatricians are going to be giving the vaccine is just because we are still trying to widely disperse the vaccine. And so pediatricians are not going to get it first, unfortunately. But we know that a lot of parents have been going to pharmacies and other local clinics. And so we figure, okay, that's where you would also take your child as well for this specific vaccine. Normally, you would go to your pediatrician to get, all of your regular back to school immunizations. But for for the COVID-19 vaccine specifically, you'd want to go to your local pharmacy because they do have the majority of the vaccines that are going to be located there. It might be a little bit harder at your local pediatrician.
Now, a big deal about this again is being vaccinated in school and what that looks like. Is the vaccine available for students, for parents at schools, at public schools?
So the vaccine will be available for students at schools. Not all of our schools in King County will have the vaccine on site, but majority of our schools, specifically South King County, will have the vaccine located on school, ready to go ahead whenever the parent and the child are ready.
Okay, and how does that work? Because this is all happening really quickly. What is the process that parents should expect or begin the process of investigating to find out how this portion of the rollout works?
Yeah. So my recommendation would be first to determine if you want to get the vaccine for your child. My role is to make sure you're making the most informed decision, but the information will be available at your school. So parents, just be on the lookout for communication that's going to be sent out. I know within Kent School District, they use Skyward. So via Skyward, or Renton School District uses Peachtree. So also kind of just keeping an eye on those notifications, because they will let you know when you are able to start getting vaccinated at the schools. Then also you could even connect with the nurse at the school. They would also have more information as to how to sign up for an appointment, because every school district is going to be a little bit different. And then even within the school district, schools are going to have various procedures on how you would go about getting vaccinated through the school.
Okay. I happen to know that some schools have already given out the vaccine. And that started on Monday. And obviously you're aware of this, I'm assuming. How were those decisions made? Should parents have been expected to be contacted? Is something coming from the school? Is something come from King County Public Health, from Washington State Department of Health? Because it's in play now, and some of our children are being vaccinated as we speak.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I don't work for our schools and child care task force, so I'm not aware of their process. But I'd be more than happy to connect with our schools and child care task force, and they can go in depth with how that process is working in the schools.
Okay, and I know you're not going to have questions to everything, Taylor, but like I said, you're the person who's here, and people have all sorts of different questions about this. There's not just one easy silver bullet, that we can use to discuss this whole situation. So during this process of the rollout of 5 to 11-year-olds getting vaccines, I'm not going to assume anything. You have to have parental or guardian permission. I'm asking.
So you don't have to have parental guardian permission to get the vaccine. But if you are going to a pediatrician, then they more than likely would be requiring it. But within the schools, they operate a little bit different. There's the mature minor rule as well, but you don't have to have parental consent to get the vaccine.
Okay, so if you're 5 to 11 years old, because this is something that impacts households. And if you come from a household that advocates for getting the vaccine, that's one thing. If you come from a household that, for whatever reason, and at this point, I'm not challenging folks' reasons, where the word is, no, we're not getting that vaccine. You're 5 to 11 years old, and now it's available in your school. I don't know. I'm just wondering if there are any rails, guardrails, or what will happen or what can happen if you have 5 to 11-year-olds who go, you know what, I want the vaccine, but the parents have said we're not getting the vaccine.
Right. Yeah. And state and local laws and policies for around provider consent are all going to vary. And so this could be obviously an issue with 5 to 11-year-olds, but do know that the schools will not just be vaccinating children without giving some type of notification to parents or guardians. There will be some type of communication that we'll have because we know that a 5 to 11-year-old may not know what's going on. They're not going to know what questions to ask and like that. So the schools are, having a process to let parents know, like, hey, this is what we're offering versus this is what we're actually going to be doing. So schools are notifying parents. There won't be just kids coming home and having a Band-Aid on their arm from getting vaccinated. There will be a process.
Okay, but it is possible that a 5 to 11-year-old may decide that my household thinks I should not get the vaccine, but I want one, and they will be able to get one at a public school if they wish to.
I would say no, but every school is going to be a little bit different. I would hope that with a 5-year-old specifically, if they did want to get vaccinated, that they would be contacting their parent first. But again, that is more so of our schools and child care task force that deals with that specifically.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World. It's me, Tony B. My guest is Taylor Gaston. Taylor is Program Manager 3 for Policy and Government Affairs, as well as the Place-Based Strategy Team, and currently works with on COVID-19 outreach to youth ages 12 to 24. And now we have the vaccine available for ages 5 to 11. Again, with everything that's went on with this over the past year, one thing that we also know is that mental health issues are a big deal. We know that politically, again, this has been a football that has been used, and now we have 5 to 11-year-olds who are getting vaccinated. Do we know anything, Taylor, and you can talk specifically maybe about the cultures that you are working specifically with, about the mental health of 5 to 11-year-olds who are now being told you either get a vaccine or you don't get a vaccine, and this whole time you haven't had it, but they're their own people who live in their own worlds. Do we know anything? I mean, other than the fact that, because we look at them and we say, just your parents either going to tell you to get the shot or they're not going to tell you to get the shot. And I was talking to a parent, who just said this just brings up a totally different situation about the availability of a parent to be there, because for kids, shots are a big deal, and then everything that goes behind this shot is, again, what it is. Can you share any information with us that you know so far in your communication with families, parents, or maybe even youth? Mentally, where are 5 to 11-year-olds with this concept of getting a coronavirus vaccine shot?
Yeah. So first, I'll say the vaccine is safe for children. And so the vaccine is a third of the regular dose. So for adolescents and adults, so it's not a full dose. And there are many, many surveillance safety things that are being constantly looked at, because we know that this is a vulnerable age group. And again, so things like having smaller needles that are designed for kids, also kind of gearing towards specifically to get children vaccinated. Now, in the work that I do, I don't directly always talk with our kiddos, so 5 to 11, but for parents, when they're addressing their concerns about, my kid has questions, what should I tell them? The first thing that we always do is we try and make sure that the parent first is as informed as they can possibly be. So addressing all their questions, whether that be should they get vaccinated, prior to starting to think about, the vaccine, getting vaccinated for their child. So making sure that parents are informed, connecting them with educational materials. We at King County Public Health, we really try and be consistent with our messaging. And so that also will address some misinformation as well. But just really trying to talk to parents, making sure that they're informed before having those difficult conversations with their child. And then also just thinking about the mental health of kids. We know that we once had school closures, and that also went with no extracurricular activities. Recreational centers were closed to kids, and so now if kids are getting vaccinated, we can continue to keep these places open, so kids' mental health can be strong, and they're able to thrive. And so that's one of the things that we tell parents is, for why they should get vaccinated is we don't want school closures, and we want your kids to be able to participate in their local soccer team and go to basketball practice and things like that. And so that, getting vaccinated will help with slowing the transmission. And then we also know that oftentimes kids participate in high risk activities. And so we try and explain to parents that it's really, really important that if your child's going to get vaccinated, they'll still be able to do their favorite activities, which helps with their mental health.
All right. Right now, I'm going to give you the opportunity to share your message. Why do you think, or do you think, that parents should make the decision to get their children 5 to 11 years old vaccinated?
I think that parents should get their children vaccinated. And the way that I think about it is that there are several vaccines that are needed for your kid to go to school, right? And so think of this as just another vaccine that's going to keep your children safe in school. Mind you, they're already in school. They already have to be there. So we want to make sure that they are staying safe, and we do not want them to go back to online learning, because that is a host of issues that can happen. And so getting your child vaccinated ensures that they're able to live a strong, healthy life, continue to play with their friends, and do all the things that they want to do without kind of having this barrier of, oh, maybe, if I'm not vaccinated, I can't do this, I can't do that. It really isolates them, especially right now. Our vaccine verification policy does not include 5 to 11, but we just don't know where this where COVID-19 is going to go. So we just want to make sure that our kids can still live a healthy, normal life, that they're still able to do all the things that they want to do, and getting them vaccinated helps with that. We know that kids and online learning didn't always go the best. And so keeping them in school means getting them vaccinated. So if you really want to keep your child in school and really getting that face-to-face interaction, the best thing to do would be to get your child vaccinated.
Taylor, can you believe we're not only out of time, we're over time? That went by really fast, and I knew that there was going to be a lot to unpack there. So I'm going to take the hit for this as I bite into somebody else's time. But if you can quickly tell me and tell our audience about, number one, the efficacy of the vaccine. What do we know about the efficacy of the Pfizer 5 to 11 vaccine?
Yeah, so we know that this vaccine is safe for children. Again, like I mentioned, there are various safety measures that have been taken specifically for children, and the efficacy is 90%. And so we are really excited about the vaccine being rolled out, but it is extremely safe. And we just are here as public health to make sure folks can make the best and informed decision possible.
And this is the last question I'm going to ask you because I'm over time, and then I'm going to give you a chance for final words. But what do we know about any adverse impacts, adverse effects that, even though they may be very rare, that this may have on children who take this vaccine? It's how I get down. We just have honest, open conversation. What do we know about the potential of adverse effects?
So currently, we do know that children could have side effects from the vaccine, which would be normal. So signs that their body is building protection. These side effects may include headache, fatigue, soreness at the injection site, and this may affect the child's ability to do daily activities, but this should go away within a few days. In rare cases, there may be a little bit elevated from those side effects that I mentioned. They may be a little bit more elevated, but other than that, the benefits of COVID-19 outweigh the unknown and potential risk.
All right. And I'm going to give you about another 30 seconds here, Taylor, for final words. Anything that you would like to say to our watching and listening audiences right now?
I would just like to say thank you all. And I hope that you all can make the best and informed decision for you and your family on getting vaccinated. Thank you.
And thank you for the work that you do, Taylor. Appreciate you. This is Tony B. You're listening to the impact of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities show. We'll be back again a little later on. We're going to have a further conversation about children's vaccine. We'll be talking to a nurse from Kaiser Permanente. We're going to talk with Rizz from the Seattle Mariners, the voice of the Mariners. He and Dave Henderson started a Toys for Kids event a few years ago. Obviously, the pandemic interrupted that. They're going to be doing it again this year. We're going to talk about the challenges they face and what they're going to do this year. At the end of the day, for those who celebrate the holidays, it's a big deal. And they were a big supplier of toys to a lot of different agencies, and that's going to happen again this year. Coming up next, Mark Smith will be joining me to talk about Triumph Records. He decided to start a record label during a pandemic. We're going to talk with Mark about that decision. We're going to talk with Mark about his record label and how things are going. We'll be back with Mark and Triumph Records right after this.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not using my GPS to navigate the land of 1,000 dances, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio .world.
Hi, it's Queen Bree, Director of Clean Greens Farm and Market, and your host of Clean Greens Living Live, broadcasted on Rainier Avenue Radio.
And me, Robin T.
We are here to invite you to our biggest celebration of the year, our annual Lottie Cross Harvest Dinner, on Tuesday, November 16th at 6 p.m. Check out our cool lineup. We will be having a sit-down chat with the one and only Doug Baldwin Jr. We also have in the house DJ Mr. Nice Guy, raffles and pictures from our very own comedian and activist, Deontay Damper, and the rest of our Clean Greens Farm family.
Get tickets by emailing us at cleangreensevents@gmail.com or go to our website at cleangreensfarmmarket.com.
Holla!
What's on your heart? Are you exhausted at the lack of progress for people of color in business, politics, and life? This is Cindy Bright, the host of Heartbeat Radio. Each week, we explore this heart condition in the country that is affecting you and me. We have real conversations about what's necessary for change. It's time to change this dialogue. Will you join this Heartbeat weekly, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on Rainier Avenue Radio?
Phil-Am Radio, servicing the Filipino and Filipino Americans all over the world. Phil-Am Radio, streaming live in the internet every Tuesday from 1 o'clock to 2:30 p.m. Shuttle USA time. We are your host, Kuya Bert Kawili, Emma Heron, and
Manny Panganiban.
Phil-Am Radio.
Metro League High School football is back.
Tackles off to the races. He could go all the way. He could go.
It's the return of Metro League High School football, Friday and Saturday nights on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Makes a stutter step inside, breaks a tackle. He's going to take it all the way. He's going to take it all the way on the sideline.
Exciting Metro League football live on Rainier Avenue Radio .world. It's back.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio .world. Check us out on social media, Facebook and Instagram, Rainier Avenue Radio .world, and on Twitter at Rainier Ave Radio.
Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio .world. That was a little musical interpretation there, because our next guest is going to be talking with us about what it's like, among other things, to be a musician, to be a producer, to be involved in the entertainment industry, and during a pandemic, and then on top of that, starting a record label and releasing records during a pandemic. And I'm going to bring him on right now. Mark, how you doing, man? And though I know you informally, should I be calling you Mark A. Smith or Mark Anthony Smith? Which do you prefer, sir?
I mean, coming from you, Tony B, you call me what you call me. You know, I've been called many things. So just knowing that it's you, Tony B, we family. So you call me Mark A. Smith, Mark Smith, whatever suits your pleasure, my brother.
Mark is a recording producer, composer, and musician. Hails from Seattle, is the son of the legendary Northwest rock and roll pioneer Tiny Tony from the 1960 group The Statics. Mark has done a whole bunch of different stuff. His production work on the Dimension Films Ride. Also, if you want to look at some things locally and getting down with Nasty Mix Records, Producer Attack, Trouble in the Hood, and he just a person who, if you're in this community, you know how talented the gentleman is that I'm talking to right now, Mr. Mark A. Smith. Mark, welcome to the program, man. How have you been during, just in general, but also during this last period of time? Because I'm going to be asking some more questions about that. But how are you, man?
Man, I'm blessed in the city, Tony B. You know, it's a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for the invite. Always a pleasure to talk to you. So, you know, we've been waiting for this forum for a long time. So, I'm honored to be here, and I've been wonderful. I've been worse. Right now, God is doing some things in my life where I can shout hallelujah right now.
Okay, let's start with this. From your perspective, how did the music industry change when this pandemic happened? We know it affected and impacted in different people in different ways. Some folks went straight to the internet trying to do concerts. Some folks went into writing. Some people just shut down during this pandemic because of the isolation and then getting together. For you, during the pandemic, Mark, what was the impact of the coronavirus when you got the news like everybody else got the news? Shut it down, stay home, isolate.
I mean, the fortunate thing for me, Tony, is that, I did play in clubs. I was gigging. I was a band member. So that part of my life, that was shut down. But, God has been good. I have changed my life, and I've done more things towards inspirational music. So, when you're in creation mode and being creative and producing and writing, it was good for me because, we called it back in the day wood shedding. And, when you're able to lock yourself in a room in a studio, we had to have creative thoughts, and the juices were flowing, during this pandemic. When I come out of the studio now, I had to deal with the mess just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? But, I seen musician associates of mine post things on Facebook. My friend Thaddeus, he was like, you guys got to support us. We can't, the gigs are shut down, this and that, and I felt bad for those who are depending on, their revenue from performing live at venues. Me, I'm fortunate to have a balance in my career where I've, mainly been a producer and a, studio type of person and an audio engineer. And you can't write a song at a club. So, I was writing at home the whole time anyway. But before the pandemic, it wasn't a big change, Tony, but it was a drastic change because I was able to focus on one kind of genre of music because I just think we all needed to be uplifted. I used to do the same kind of music, that everybody was listening to. And, myself, I'm not better than nobody, but, as I worked on myself and became a work in progress, I needed positive lyrics around me. I needed my life to be better. I need to show examples to my kids, my family, and let them know that, hey, this cat right here, I know I'm known for being a rap producer and funk musician. I still have that. Don't get it twisted. But, when it comes to my lifestyle, it's going to come across on these tracks. And I can't fake a lyric. I can't pretend like I'm something that I'm not. So the realness is in my tracks and in my production work, Tony. So wood shedding and being behind closed doors, it was a blessing for me, Tony, because we was able to do things like research. You research better if you're locked in a room somewhere. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So let me because I don't want to put words in your mouth. Yes, was the pandemic a major source of the transformation that you made in the music that you decided to write and produce? Is that what I heard?
Well, what it did, Tony, it pushed it along. It nudged it. It gave me an opportunity to focus on something that was already being planned. Because, God has your plan. You just got to, have a straight and narrow mindset and be able to know when to stop and listen to what God's voice is telling you. So I knew my calling was always to give back through music. And the pandemic specifically just gave me the drive to do it more. The idea was there, before the pandemic, but the push wasn't there. You get what I'm saying? As far as starting a company and doing it on your own, because back in the day, I used to almost make fun of when I was doing rap and getting hired to produce rappers and come in the studio and work for this independent label and do this and do that. There was a trend going on where, oh yeah, I got a label. So I used to tell my family, I ain't never gonna say I have a label. I'm a production company. I'm a producer. I'm a musician. So in a sense, Tony, this did allow me to say, maybe I am a company. Maybe I should start my own company with my family, my wife and my daughter and my son. And, we're ministry. So, it goes with our lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? So we looked at it as, we want to see some people be delivered from some things, like I was delivered from some things. So the pandemic did play a role on that extra push.
All right. You ready to talk a little bit about the label, Mr. Smith?
I'm always ready to talk with you, Tony, about whatever. Let's go.
Well, let's talk about it, man. Triumph. We found a little bit about, the inspiration for it. Triumph Records. Tell us about Triumph Records. And again, I wanted to get this out. You started this during a pandemic, during, for a lot of people, it was a time when a lot of things were set back. What is Triumph Records? You shared a little bit about it before. You talked a little bit about your inspiration for starting it. Now I want you to give me the whole 411. Triumph Records. Tell us about Triumph.
Well, Triumph came about originally, Tony, because I was struggling in some areas, you know what I'm saying? And you have to read the book about all that, but we'll talk about that on another interview. My family and I, God just gave me a vision that said, you've overcome some things. So the name alone is claiming our victory, you know what I'm saying? In advance and as we speak. So this label, has a different niche because, like I said, it's not a rap label. It's not an R&B label. It's not those kind of labels. It's the same sound, Tony. This is the thing about me. I'm a very versatile musician and producer. So my sound has not changed. All those who are listening out there that might be supporting me, I appreciate you for tuning in. You guys know how I produce. You know how I play several instruments. You know my sound. Those who don't,
since you were the age of 10, by the way, I had to throw that in there.
Since I was 10, T, you know what I'm saying? And I was able to think of this company, it came from just meditating, really, you know what I mean? In the music, I found myself, I've never been a lyricist as far as, back in the day, Tony, you remember our old groups, we was just writing these songs about this and that and this and that. And as I was attending churches and playing for various churches amongst the city, I had to learn a lot of other, gospel and contemporary Christian artists' work. And so these lyrics were being embedded into me. So I started writing like that, you know what I mean? Because my style, I can't change my style, Tony, as far as how I play a keyboard, how I program a drum, how I play the drums, how I play a bass, how I do a guitar part. Them are going to stay the same. But with this company, I was able to, put together a few groups that had a few different styles. But what stayed the same is our message. You know what I'm saying? So we just want to be positive, upbeat, and uplifting to those with our brand right now. We're just being encouraging. So when you see and hear the word Triumph, just think of, we're a company who has a positive image, and we're led by the Holy Spirit. I'm just going to keep it real. I didn't come out here to preach, but I want to allow those to know me, that, my life has changed and my music sounds the same, but the content is uplifting.
You know me, Mark, and you can also say whatever you want to say. You know how I get an open, honest, frank conversation.
Yes, sir.
And so you say what you want to say, how you want to say it, in the way that you want to say it. Now you start the label, and you mentioned artists. Well, we're in a pandemic. Let's talk about this. Is your label, so you get to set the tone. Were you looking for for certain types and styles of artists in particular? You just tell me, what were some of the things that you were looking for in an artist, or did things just kind of naturally come to you and you said, well, I'll work with this?
Well, it's kind of like if you think about what Prince was doing, God rest his soul. Prince was a one-man thing, right? As far as we know, from the beginning. and he pretty much wrote everything. Before he had the time in these other groups, you know, I could go on and name the list. He was already woodshedding with material. So my concept kind of came along the same way. Because I produce in a high volume and write in a high volume of material, I was able to stack some songs and then place the artist to the songs. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
we call that prolific. We call that prolific.
I'm glad you know the word. Hey, you know what? I ain't choking my chain. I'm just, God bless me, Tony, with a talent. And if I don't do something right with it, T, you know, I ain't promised tomorrow. I'm getting old. You know what I'm saying? You got a couple on me, T, but you looking good for your age. I already know. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Well, talk to me some more about the artists, man, that you have with the label, and again, why you chose to work with these artists. We're going to get to some music that you have out as well too, but tell me about the artists, why you chose the artists, and a little bit about some of the artists that you're working with now.
Yeah, my lead group that we have the single out right now is our Christian contemporary group, which is more like a worship and praise team. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Which it features my wife. And we have several other vocalists. We have Sister Kayla Epting and Sister Teresa Rosenfeld as the contributors. And when we go do our live presentation, you know, we will be a full band and group. But at this time, that group has more of a Christian contemporary sound. Mm-hmm. And the album, you know, the lead single is more of a Christian contemporary thing, but the album gets a little bit more versatile. And I particularly chose that group to come out first because kind of back in the day, T, you know, we used to call it crossover. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'm from funk. You know that, Tony. You know, we from funk. But, you know, I have to tuck that away a little bit for a second and concentrate on, you know, marketing something that a brand that's more universal across the globe. And, you know, somebody might listen to that and be like, oh, man. And it's, you know, some people in the industry call me MAS, and that's my rap handle. You know what I'm saying? When I'm producing rappers, you know, it's Mark Anthony Smith, for those that don't know. But they may hear that sound and be like, man, what is MAS doing? Man, he's watered down. But, you know, at the same time, I'm here to please God first and foremost. And I'm going to make sure that the music we present for him has a beautiful tone, a nice melody, and good production off the top. You know what I'm saying?
And you have just released the album project?
I released a single.
A single?
Yeah, we have an album called Lift Your Hands Up, and it is due to be released on all major platforms, all major streaming platforms, December 17th. Lift Your Hands Up, 16-track album for Voices of Rejoice. So what's out right now is the single called Nothing Compares to You, Lord. And it's been out, you know, for maybe a week now. And we're just trying to create a buzz on that. We're going to get that on some radio play coming here real quick. Mm-hmm. But right now we're just testing the waters and seeing how just even the people on Facebook and my friends and family, seeing how they're feeling the track and just getting feedback to see if this is something we're going to go ahead and push forward. But I think we already got the green light, Tony. We're going to go ahead and move this track on to the next level where, you know, we look at this being something on the charts pretty quick here.
You know, Mark, and I just got to ask you this now because you brought this up. Being that you were such a force in the funk and hip hop world, how have you been accepted? How's, you know, so far? I know this is new for you and this is something that you're passionate about. Do you go back to the hip hop and rap folks that you know and say, hey, this is where I'm at right now? How is that reception been? Are they like, whoa, man, this is, I don't know if this is, or man, Mark, we can do this. The music is good. The song is just a little different than the message that we know. What's the reception been?
You know what? The reception, when my own brother called me, and he's probably listening and watching too, it was funny because we joked, like me and you, T, and he said, who's that white man singing on the song? And, you know, it's funny because he really respects the song in the music because he knows his own brother is going to come with this and that, sooner or later. But he's the only one, I haven't really been talking to people because I kind of don't care what somebody thinks when I'm pleasing God first, because there's an audience for this music that might not be my normal audience, that might have even a vaster spread than when I can sell records to South Seattle, or I can sell records to the globe. You get what I'm saying? So I'm still waiting on responses from people, but for the most part, I'm around a lot of people, church members and different people in ministry, and I've been getting a thumbs up on that. But as far as my people I've been playing music with all my life and rappers I've been producing, I haven't heard from them yet. I'm excited to hear what they say too, Tony. So that's an excellent question.
Name of the single again. What's the name of the single?
Nothing Compares to You, Lord.
What is your website, Facebook page, all that? How can people find out more, get more information?
Well, first of all, my website is triumphrecordingco.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Voices of Rejoice and at Triumph Recording Co. You can like us on Facebook, Voices of Rejoice, and also Triumph Recording Company. So the main thing is hitting that website up, because that's always going to keep you current and updated. My wife and my daughter is very instrumental in running this company, between the three of us, and also my son, even though he's out of state. We are primarily running this company, and they're doing an excellent job at their particular duties. And we're just looking at pushing our material, and I know we're running out of time, but I wanted to speak real quick about the other group is Increase. They're more urban contemporary, and that's where you're going to hear some funk, some hip hop, some jazz, and another group called Inspiration Fusion, which is an instrumental jazz fusion group with pretty much no lyrics. So that part didn't change about me. I'm able to get some expressions out of here without words through this label and things like that, Tony.
Mark, you're right. We are almost out of time, man. And I just enjoy talking to you. Seems like we just started chatting. But I wanted to catch up with you and have our audience who's familiar with you have the opportunity to hear what you're doing now, and our audience who may not be familiar with you to find out who you are as well as your record label. So before we go, one more again, how can folks hear the music, get in touch with you, find out more about your record label, all that?
Well, first of all, we're on all major streaming platforms. When we say major, we want to say Spotify, we want to say Apple Music, and YouTube, and Amazon Music. And those are streaming and purchasing stores as well. So if you want to support and spend 99 cents or whatever you want to do, or if you've got your accounts hooked up, go on and listen. We're on YouTube. We also have a video coming out for that single early December for the same song we got out right now. So an official music video will be coming out here in a couple weeks. And triumphrecordingco.com is where you can holler at me, and all the information is right there. triumphrecordingcompany.com.
And next week, you'll be hearing this song on one of our music shows. I don't know which one yet, but we play music in all types of different formats. We've got a show called Gospel Rap Nation. We've got a show called God Is to play, and then we have hip hop show. So next week we're going to get this music on one of our radio programs as well. And Mark, I do want to give you an opportunity for final words here. We are almost out of time, but I want you to be able to share any messaging that you want with our audiences right now.
Well, first of all, I'm thankful to be here. God is good. We're just using our gifts. We ask everybody out there to make sure you strengthen your gifts through the inspiration of music, because without our gifts, we're nothing. We need to know what our gifts are. Sometimes it's not all about me. It's about what we're doing to help folks out here through positive music. And, I know I have some friends. I don't like to call people fans, But those who follow us, continue to follow us, spread the word that your boy is out here getting it in, going hungry style. And don't miss out on the blessing, because, you know, we are touched by God, and we continue to do this thing that has been lined up for us. Thank you, Tony B.
All right. Thanks for joining me. Mark A. Smith, Mark Anthony Smith, MAS. A little later in the program, we'll again be talking to a nurse from Kaiser Permanente. We'll be having a further discussion about, children's vaccines. What's the deal if you get pregnant? Should you not take the vaccine? We're going to answer those questions for you. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Seattle legend, the voice of the Seattle Mariners, Rizz. Rick has annually hosted an event called Toys for Kids, where they make sure that kids who need toys get toys. And I mean, this is a big deal. They even supply toys to agencies who also give away toys. And we're also going to be joined by the first scholarship winner. We'll tell you more about all of this. And the late Dave Henderson was a big part of this as well. And the legacy continues. So we're going to be back to talk to Rizz. And she's my daughter, Taylor Kareem Benton, who was the first recipient of the scholarship. We'll be back right after this.
Rainier Avenue Radio.
Welcome to the coronavirus pandemic.
I'll take coronavirus for 100.
Fever, chills, shortness of breath, loss of taste or smell.
What is stay at home and isolate?
Correct.
Coronavirus for 200.
Inability to stay awake, persistent pain or pressure in chest, trouble breathing. What is seek immediate help? Correct.
Coronavirus for 500.
Crippling and potentially dead infectious disease eliminated the United States with vaccination.
What is the polio vaccine?
Correct.
I'll take coronavirus for 700.
The Daily Double. Should I take the coronavirus vaccine?
Wait. Hold up. This is not a game. It's time for serious discussions. We have coronavirus vaccines, but not everyone is comfortable taking them. Here's the facts. Based on what has been proven about vaccines for other diseases, COVID-19 vaccine may help keep you from getting seriously ill, even if you do get the virus. Getting vaccinated also may protect people around, particularly those at greater risk for severe illness from COVID-19. We don't yet have all of the answers. Get informed, talk to your healthcare physician, and make the right decision for you. This is a message supported by the Washington State Department of Health.
We got the feeling now. Yeah.
R&B, soul, funk, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. We give you all that and more on Star Time. Join me, Paul Pearson, for a 2-hour trip through the history of R&B. A new episode every week on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Come and get the feeling on Star Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Kind of nonsense conversation are we having here?
The Neon Goat Show. The Neon Goat Show. Right here on Rainier. What's it? Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Right about now.
Rainier Avenue Radio.world. I'm so tired. I have to pee.
High school football is back, but guess what? We need more referees. There's a constant need for qualified individuals to work our high school football game. Please consider becoming a football official. Go to pnfoa.com to sign up today. That's pnfoa.com to sign up today. This is a message brought to you by Rainier Avenue Radio.world, your home for Metro High School football.
This is Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's me, Tony B, and this is our special impacts of the coronavirus show on South Seattle and surrounding communities. Again, we started doing this series of shows from 1 to 3. I think it was March 13th. And just had no idea that we would be November 12th, 2021, still doing the same show that would still have the same relevance and impact on our communities. And I'll tell you what, I'm not challenging what you think politically about the pandemic. I can tell you this, that businesses are planning out for 2025 about how they're going to continue to function under the conditions that we're under now with the specter of the coronavirus. And, everything is impacted. So during the holiday season, those things are exacerbated. And we have safety nets in place to try and assist in those areas. And if you're a family that celebrates the holidays, you know that toys are a big part of that celebration. Well, the pandemic shut down a lot of things. Right now, I'm excited to bring on someone who you probably know by what they do. But I want to talk about some of the things that this person does behind the scenes for our community. So, Rick Rizz. Rick, how are you? Rick, can you hear me? Hello, Rick. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to break really quickly to see if we can't get this figured out. And we'll take a quick break, and we'll make sure that we get Rick back on there.
Rainier Avenue Radio.
Channels on.
Welcome to the coronavirus pandemic.
I'll take coronavirus for 100.
Fever, chills, shortness of breath, loss of taste or smell.
What is staying home and isolate?
Correct.
Coronavirus for 200.
Inability to stay awake, persistent pain or pressure in chest, trouble breathing. What is seek immediate help? Correct.
Coronavirus for 500.
Crippling and potentially dead infectious disease eliminated in the United States with vaccination.
What is the polio vaccine?
Correct.
I'll take coronavirus for 700.
The Daily Double. Should I take the coronavirus vaccine?
Wait. Hold up. This is not a game. It's time for serious discussions. We have coronavirus vaccines, but not everyone is comfortable taking them. Here's the facts. Based on what has been proven about vaccines for other diseases, COVID-19 vaccine may help keep you from getting seriously ill, even if you do get the virus. Getting vaccinated also may protect people around, particularly those at greater risk for severe illness from COVID-19. We don't yet have all of the answers. Get informed, talk to your healthcare physician, and make the right decision for you. This is a message supported by the Washington State Department of Health.
We got the feeling now.
Yeah. R&B, soul, funk, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. We give you all that and more on Star Time. Join me, Paul Pearson, for a 2-hour trip through the history of R&B. A new episode every week on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Come and get the feeling on Star Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Kind of nonsense conversation are we having here?
The Neon Goat Show. The Neon Goat Show. Right here on Rainier Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Right about now.
Rainier Avenue Radio.world. I'm so tired. I have to pee.
High school football is back, but guess what? We need more referees. There's a constant need for qualified individuals to work our high school football game. Please consider becoming a football official. Go to pnfoa.com to sign up today. That's pnfoa.com to sign up today. This is a message brought to you by Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Your home for Mexican high school football.
This is Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Rainier Avenue Radio.
not sure what's going on right now.
Welcome to the coronavirus pandemic.
I'll take coronavirus for 100.
Fever, chills, shortness of breath, loss of taste or smell.
What is stay at home and isolate?
Correct.
Coronavirus for 200.
Inability to stay awake, persistent pain or pressure in chest, trouble breathing. What is seek immediate help? Correct.
Coronavirus for 500.
Crippling and potentially dead infectious disease eliminated the United States with vaccination.
What is the polio vaccine?
Correct.
I'll take coronavirus for 700.
The Daily Double. Should I take the coronavirus vaccine?
Wait. Hold up. This is not a game. It's time for serious discussions. We have coronavirus vaccines, but not everyone is comfortable taking them. Here's the facts. Based on what has been proven about vaccines for other diseases, COVID-19 vaccine may help keep you from getting seriously ill, even if you do get the virus. Getting vaccinated also may protect people around, particularly those at greater risk for severe illness from COVID-19. We don't yet have all of the answers. Get informed, talk to your healthcare physician, and make the right decision for you. This is a message supported by the Washington State Department of Health.
We got the feeling now. Yeah.
R&B, soul, funk, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. We give you all that and more on Star Time. Join me, Paul Pearson, for a 2-hour trip through the history of R&B. A new episode every week on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Come and get the feeling on Star Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
What kind of nonsense conversation are we having here?
The Neon Ghost Show. The Neon Ghost Show. Right here on Rainier. Hello, how you guys doing? Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Right about now.
Rainier Avenue Radio.world. I'm so tired. I have to pee.
High school.
This is Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
All right. Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. We've worked it out again through the pandemic. One thing that everybody understands is that when you hit technological problems, you work around them. They don't stop you. You just keep moving forward. And I have joining me right now, Mr. Rick Rizz. Rick, how are you?
I'm fine, Tony. How are you?
Under the circumstances, Rick, I'm fantastic. You've got an event going on tomorrow. I don't know if you heard the little monologue I was doing earlier when I was talking about the impact and of the pandemic and again impacting everything, and part of that is for families who celebrate the holidays. There are programs that make sure that they have gifts to open during the holidays, and Rick, you along with the late Dave Henderson have been doing a program for years, and I don't know if everyone knows this. I know that the beneficiaries know it, called Toys for Kids. Wow. And let's back up a little bit here, because I want to make sure that we include Dave in this conversation. What made you y'all decide to take this on?
Yeah, well, Tony, 26 years ago, it's 1995, and the Seattle Mariners were having a great run, getting to the playoffs for the very first time, the miracle season that pretty much saved baseball in Seattle. And with Ken Griffey Jr. and Edgar Martinez and Jay Buhner and all those guys. And after ball games, Hendu and I, Dave Henderson and I, would always, wind up in Pioneer Square and sit and have a cold beverage and talk baseball. And you'd always see the homeless situation with guys and even some ladies, unfortunately. They're out there in the cold and looking for a place to stay. Fortunately, there are some wonderful shelters in town, but I never knew the impact or the depth of homelessness.
My headphones.
So Hendu and I saw a TV report the night we were in the bar having a cold beer, and there was a report that said there were 8,316 homeless that they could count in King County. And so I asked Hendu, I said, man, if there's over 8,000 homeless they can count, how many are kids? And we didn't know. So I said, let's get the guys together, raise our own money, and go find these kids, which we did. and buy toys for them at Christmas time. This was September, and Christmas was right around the corner. So we did that. We started doing that amongst the 12 of us, John Olerud, Edgar Martinez, Jay Buhner, Omar Vizquel, Norm Charlton, Dan Wilson, Dave Valley, Bill Kruger, Julio Cruz, Billy Hasselman, Matty Sinatra, Johnny Moses, 12 of us. And then 4 years later, we started a dinner and auction with the help of the RBI Club. And it just kept growing and growing every year. Our first year, we raised about $20,000, our first auction 20 years ago. And 2 years ago, at the Bellevue Hyatt, we raised over $700,000, and we bought toys for over 12,000 kids. Plus now we have the Dave Henderson Scholarship Award. Hendu very sadly passed away 6 years ago. And this is something that he and I talked about doing. And then when he passed away, I said, we have to do this. So we gave away one $5,000 scholarship 7 years ago. And this year we're giving away 8
Wow.
$5,000 Dave Henderson College Scholarship. So we're buying toys for homeless kids and underserved children in and around the state, and especially in King County, and the scholarships, and doing other things as well. So tomorrow night is our big gala. We're going to raise a whole bunch of money and do it again and make sure that Santa Claus shows up for these homeless kids and other kids in our communities.
Rick, you heard me talking about the impact of the pandemic. When we became aware that last year was going to be a holiday quite different than you had been able to experience before, with all of the challenges of doing something like this and pulling this off, what were your thoughts at that time? Knowing what you have been providing for years may not potentially happen. Where were you at that time?
At that time, Tony, I was afraid that we wouldn't be able to do anything because we were shut in, for months. And finally, we're able to get outside and wear masks, and the vaccine came out and vaccines, and we're starting to get a little bit toward normal. We're not there yet. We're still a ways from normal, but we were able to everybody got on Zoom. I discovered what Zoom was, and Microsoft Teams and all that. That's how we connected. And so Heather Jones, our executive director, is just amazing. And she put together a virtual dinner and auction at gala, and we still raised $325,000. We did it at the Lux Room at the old Rainier Brewery. And so instead of not having it at all, we still were able to raise a bunch of money. We still were able to purchase toys for over 12,000 kids last year. We didn't have the parties like we wanted to, but this year, hopefully we will. We're going to keep our fingers crossed, but at least tomorrow night, we're going to have about 550 people in the Bellevue Hyatt. And so we're back together in person, wearing our masks, showing our vaccination cards to, raise a bunch of money for the kids, for Toys for Kids, make sure that, like I said, Santa Claus shows up on Christmas morning for these kids.
And I want to talk about the scholars. There's just so much to talk about, Rick. First of all, man, congratulations. What a great job of pulling that together during a time when a lot of things were falling apart. Outstanding work on your behalf to make that happen. The process of gathering the toys to give away. Now, I know how this works because it was pretty incredible. But I just like you to share, because for a lot of people, it was part of the amazing process where everyone would gather together and you would go into these and grab toys off the shelves, and other kids would help. And
it was fun.
Talk about that for a bit, if you can kind of relive and share theater of the mind for us about what this used to be like, so that they get a better feel of Toys for Kids and everything that went along with the process.
Yes, the years went by. We were able to get more and more homeless agencies to work with. We started with 3, Tony, 26 years ago. Now we work with about 35.
Wow.
So the toy buy-in process, got larger and larger every year. And we'd go to Toys R Us, and we'd have the whole store to ourselves, for 2 hours, from 6 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the morning. We had volunteers come out for each and every agency, 20 at the time, 25, 30 agencies. Each register was a different agency with a different budget, depending upon how many kids they had that we bought toys for. Then we'd have trucks outside, or the volunteers would have pickup trucks and vans and cars to haul away their treasures. And so, but now since Toys R Us are out of business, Amazon really came through for us big time. Got a friend of mine who worked at Amazon and then a company with Amazon, Tom Furphy, and with the really great folks at Amazon, they were able to figure out how to go online and purchase, toys for each and every agency. Then Amazon ships them right to the homeless agency, the homeless shelters, and then we have Christmas parties, right before Christmas and during the holiday season. So that's how we do it now. So thank goodness Amazon has been a wonderful partner for us, and they've been absolutely incredible. So that's how we do it now.
And I want to talk about the scholarship program as well, Rick. And there's no way for me to talk about this without personalizing it. Your first scholarship recipient was supposed to be joining us. And she's not here right now. Full disclosure, that recipient was my daughter, who had the opportunity to shop for toys with you for a number of years. And this is not about me, so I'm not going to make it about me. But I was suffering from cancer and had a bunch of other illnesses going on, and my daughter received a scholarship from yourself and Dave Henderson, and it was actually the first scholarship that you have given out. Now, I add that in because I can't take myself personally out of that, but I want to talk about the scholarship program for you and Hindu, and how that came up amongst doing this Toys for Kids project that you were doing.
Yeah, well, Tony, as the years went by, we kept finding more agencies to help out, homeless agencies, and more kids to buy toys for. And we had a wonderful community of people to come to the auction, and we raised more and more money each and every year. Joe Wingen and Issaquah is amazing, and Carv Moore, and Dave Pickering, and Greg Fossum, and oh my gosh, Brent Olson. I can go on and on and on. And all our major sponsors helped us raise more and more money each year. So we'd have a lot of money left over after we end up purchasing the toys for the kids. And Hendu and I said, we have to do something more. And he said, how about some scholarships, help out a kid, high school senior, getting ready to go to school. I said, that's a great idea. Let's do that. So sadly, like I said, Hendu passed away around Christmas time, as a matter of fact, in 2015. And I said, okay, we have to do this in honor of Dave. So your daughter, Taylor Corinne, was our first recipient of a $5,000 college scholarship. And I know she's doing great. And we're so proud of her, as you are. And then we had 2 scholarship winners the following year, because we raised more and more money, that 4 and 4 and 6 and 6. And this year 8, and hopefully next year we can do 10 college scholarships. But this is something that Hendu and I talked about, and now it's come to fruition, and so rewarding to know that we're helping kids jumpstart their collegiate careers.
And Rick, I know you can't necessarily speak for Dave, but I know how passionate you were about this relationship that you had, and how essential he was in y'all getting to this point. If you don't mind, would you mind sharing with our audience, a little bit about Dave Henderson and the kind of person he was, and his impact on this whole thing, Toys for Kids and the scholarship?
Yeah, well, Tony, I got about 8 minutes to get to a meeting downstairs. I would need 8 hours to talk about Dave Henderson, and I'm not kidding you. Dave was one of the most loving, caring, compassionate guys I've ever met in my life. So empathetic to people, and especially to kids. He has a son, Chase, who has Angelman syndrome, and was so wonderful with him, an older son, Trent. And he was just one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. Let's start with that. Always a smile on his face. He had a great attitude about life, always happy, always making people feel that they were special. If you met him for the very first time, it was like you knew him for years. And not only that, he was a great ball player. He was one of the best young players that the Mariners signed. He was the first draftee of the Mariners in 1977, as a matter of fact, out of high school. Dos Palos High School down in California. Became an outstanding center fielder for us. He started a long line of great center fielders, of course, with Ken Griffey Jr. and others. But he was just a super friend who made his home here in Seattle, raised his kids here in the Seattle area, and really took ownership in the community. And if there was ever a need, he was there. We built this organization. We built this charity together. He went to everything. He was there with me and everybody else lockstep to make sure that we were successful. He was a great businessman and just one of the most caring, loving guys I've ever met in my life, who wanted to give back to the community, and he did it so well. And so I just wanted to make sure that his legacy lives on through the Dave Henderson Scholarship Award, and we're going to make sure we do that. His wife Nancy is so actively involved. His oldest son Trent is involved in everything that we do, from choosing the scholarship winners to volunteering to always showing up to be a part of this organization. So it's like David is with us, by our side every step of the way. I just love the guy and still do.
You know what? We broadcast a game a couple of years ago before the pandemic, and I don't remember the name of the group of the organization, but Chase was playing, and it was a baseball game.
Angelman syndrome.
Yeah, and he just had the biggest smile on his face when we did that. I wish I could remember the name of that. But for folks who are saying, "Oh, you know what? This is going. I want to be part of this. I want to contribute." What can they do if folks are saying, "You know what? I want to be part of this. I want to be part of the legacy. I want to be part of helping members of our community through Toys for Kids." What can they do?
I tell you what, all they have to do is go to our website. And if they want to donate, they can do that. If they want to volunteer, they can do that. Our website, Tony, is tfkseattle.org. And of course, toysforkidsseattle.org. So it's tfkseattle.org. There are ways that you can donate, and from $1 to whatever you want to donate to help us, make sure that we reach more and more homeless kids and underserved children. We, my goodness, you'll find out all about our organization and who we help and the different agencies, homeless agencies that we work with, and the other things that we do as well. So all they have to do is check out our website, tfkseattle.org, and every little bit helps. So thank you very much.
And I know you got to go, Rick. Thanks for joining us, but I want to give you the opportunity for final words here. If there's anything that you'd like to say to our listening audiences, those who are also watching us on our streaming channels, I want to give you the platform here for final words.
Well, Tony, I just want to thank you and everybody that supports us. This is I've been in baseball for 47 years, 8 years in the minor leagues. I've been here for 36 years, Detroit for 3 years. This by far is the most giving, loving, caring community I've ever been associated with. I've made my home here. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and I want to stay here for the rest of my life. I just want to thank the people who have helped me in my career as the announcer for the Mariners for the past 36 years. And I just can't say enough about this community that cares about, so many people and so many different causes that we have. But we can do our best. We don't always have to rely on the government. We can do it ourselves. So the grassroots type of movement we saw a need. We turned it into a vision. We turned it into reality. 26 years ago, when Hendo and I had the idea of starting a charity to buy toys for homeless kids and underserved children at Christmas time. And we did it. And we're getting bigger. We're getting stronger. So again, I just want to thank you, everybody out there listening right now. You guys have been amazing to help our cause, and whatever cause it is that you choose to support. We have a platform, no matter what we do in life, to give back to the community. And that's my goal. This community has given me so much. And my goal now is to give back in this way to the kids who really need our help, and their moms too. Their moms have incredible stories to get to the Broadview Women's Shelter. And the real heroes too, and I want to say, before I say goodbye, the real heroes in this story too, Tony, are the ladies and the people that work at the shelters. The Broadview Women's Shelter is unbelievable. Eastside Baby Corner. I could go on and on and on. and all the different agencies that we work with. These are the true heroes who help out these moms and their kids to get their lives back, on their feet, to have another opportunity to, be successful in life through education, to help get a job, to get some sort of shelter with low income housing and move on with their kids. And so I can't say enough about the shelters that we work with, the homeless agencies that we work with. They're truly amazing. They are the heroes. We're here to help them. So on behalf of Toys for Kids, I just want to thank everybody who supports us, because we got a lot more to do. We're going to buy toys for over 14,000 kids this year, maybe even up to 20, because we added Pierce County this year. But there's such a great need in our community that I hope we can keep going. As long as I'm around, we're going to keep this going. So, Tony, thanks for the opportunity to say thank you to so many people who make us successful and help these kids who need our help.
Well, Rick, as much as we love you and your association with the Mariners, I'm really excited more than anything to share with this work that you do, and just kind of behind the scenes. It's not like, you make you do a big thing, and I don't think enough people know, that you're behind this, and a number of other things that I know you and Hindu do as well, and did as well. And so that's why it was really important for me to get you on. I appreciate you coming on a short notice. We got a big event tomorrow.
Yes. We're sold out pretty much. Yeah, and it's going to be a lot of fun, Tony. So I can't wait to see Taylor.
Well, thank you again. And again, during a pandemic year, while we're still the opportunity of members of our community who do extraordinary things in light of some of the safety nets have failed, have once again stood up and said, we're going to figure this out and we're going to do it. One of them is our very own Rick Rizz. Thanks for being part of our community, Rick, and I'm looking forward to a great time tomorrow night. Taylor Queen will be there to support and do her thing, and let's raise lots of money so that we can continue to support members of our community.
That sounds great. I want to say thanks to the Seattle Mariners. They've been such a huge help, and everybody that supports us, all our sponsors. Tony, thank you for the time. I can't wait to see you and your daughter tomorrow night. We're going to have a great night and raise a whole bunch of money to help these kids. Make sure that Santa Claus shows up on Christmas morning for them. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it.
All right. You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio .World, our special impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. That was Mr. Rick Rizz. Had an opportunity to talk about toys for kids. And again, things don't happen magically. There are people who put the work in to make these things happen. I'm really happy to share that story about Rick. If you're just tuning in, you also missed an earlier conversation that we had with Taylor Gaston, something I called the everything that you want and need to know about child's vaccine. Obviously, in 27 minutes, that wasn't possible. So we're going to back that up. And we're going to bring Zandy Harlan on, who is from Kaiser Permanente, to talk more about the issues regarding children's vaccines. We're going to ask about getting vaccinated while pregnant. And again, if you'd like to call in because you have questions, 206-290-9685. Looking forward to having this discussion. That'll be coming up on the other side of this commercial break. We'll be back with Zandy Harlan right after this.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio .World. Don't forget to log on www.rainieravenue.world.
Hi, it's Queen Bree, Director of Clean Greens Farm and Market, and your host of Clean Greens Living Live, broadcasted on Rainier Avenue Radio.
And me, Robin T.
We are here to invite you to our biggest celebration of the year, our annual Lottie Cross Harvest Dinner on Tuesday, November 16th at 6 p.m. Check out our cool lineup. We will be having a sit-down chat with the one and only Doug Baldwin Jr. We also have in the house DJ Mr. Nice Guy, raffles and pictures from our very own comedian and activist, Deontay Damper, and the rest of our Clean Greens Farm family.
Get tickets by emailing us at cleangreensevents@gmail.com or go to our website at cleangreensfarmmarket.com.
Holla!
All lovers, check out the Quiet Storm Dedication Show with Sergio LaCour on Love Lines. Thursdays, 9 p.m. Pacific on Rainier Avenue Radio .World.
I love the music.
This is your Rainier Avenue Radio.world community update on online Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. If you're looking for an AA meeting, find one every day online at aaphonemeetings.org. That's aaphonemeetings.org.
Yo, what's good? It's D-Money, and you should definitely check out Fresh Juice every Wednesday, 9 to 11 Pacific, right on Rainier Avenue Radio.
With pint-sized Patron, P-Treasy the Don. Y'all be sure to clean your mirrors as we play brand new hip-hop and R&B from locals and worldwide.
It's ID Yourself, a.k.a. Malcolm Flex. Make sure you check out Fresh Juice every Wednesday, Pacific Standard Time from 9 to 11 p.m.
And to get those exclusive interviews that we be doing.
Sipping a brand new fresh juice every single week.
Yeah, every Wednesday, 9 to 11, Rainier Avenue Radio. Yeah.
November is American Indian Heritage Month, so please join Rainier Avenue Radio.world to celebrate all month long the history, the contributions, and the accomplishments of our first Americans. Again, please stay tuned to Rainier Avenue Radio.world to celebrate and honor American Indians during American Indian Heritage Month.
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's me, your host, Tony B. This is our special Impacts of the Coronavirus on South Seattle and Surrounding Communities broadcast that we've been airing now for multiple months since March 13th, 2020, November 12th, 2021. We are still here, and again, I'm sidestepping the issue of what you think about the vaccine or the coronavirus, and just telling you that what business is doing is planning out to the year 2025 for the impacts of the coronavirus and the need to keep things going. And that's not to say it couldn't even be longer than that, or that there cannot also be another unanticipated challenges. Well, we went through getting the vaccine. Then there was the question of whether some folks would take the vaccine. Then it was, okay, if you don't take the vaccine, do take the vaccine, there are a group of people who cannot take the vaccine. Then we got to up to 12 and up could take the vaccine. All of the other issues still persisted, including the misinformation and the disinformation that was out there. And now we're talking, the CDC just said, okay, you know what, the Pfizer for 5 to 11-year-olds. And in addition to that comes with it questions that parents may, and rightfully so. It's your child. You're certainly entitled to ask questions. And we are happy to have on the show with us now from Kaiser Permanente, Zandria Harlan. Zandria, how are you? How you doing, Zandria? Hello, Zandria. Can you hear me? Zandria, can you hear me? Okay, looks like we're having a bit of a technical issue here, and I'm gonna keep trying and see if we can make this happen. Zandria, can you hear me? No, I hear something on the headphones, but I don't think, I know for sure she doesn't hear me now because the headphones are no longer on. So we'll see. Again, this is what happens. Another one of those issues involving the coronavirus. Zandria, can you hear me now? Okay, we're still having a little bit of an issue here. I don't know if you can hear me, Zandria, but I heard when you had the headphones on, it was though sound was going to come out, but you weren't talking. And right now I'm probably talking. You may see my mouth moving, but I don't know if you can hear me or not. All right. We will try to get this resolved. Again, these are some of the things that happen. Zandria, can you hear me? Okay, I don't think Zandria can hear me right now. Zandria, can you hear me? Okay.
All right. Can
Oh,
you hear
there
me
we
here?
go. There we go. Can you hear me? Well, we can hear you, but apparently you cannot hear us. But we hear you talking. Again, you're listening to the Impacts of the Coronavirus show. Impacts of the Coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities show that we air regularly. My guest, Zandria Harlan, is from Kaiser Permanente, lived in Seattle nearly 20 years. Zandria has a nursing background in behavioral health, has worked for Kaiser Permanente, again, like I mentioned, for 10 years. And her current role as a quality manager, she works on improving how we care for members and ensuring that equity is central in all our improvement efforts. And right now, we want to share more information with you about children's vaccines, child vaccines, and issues surrounding those vaccines. So I'm going to try one more again to see if Zandria, if you can hear me. And I don't think that is the case. We're going to take a quick break right here again and see if we can make this happen in another way. We'll be right back right after this.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not explaining to my intern exactly what R&B is, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Do you want to reach out to the Vietnamese community in Seattle? Just advertise in Người Việt Tây Bắc, that is Northwest Vietnamese News, the longest running Vietnamese language newspaper in our region. Go to nvnorthwest.com.
Welcome to the Fitness Corner. I'm your host, Mark Bryant, and you're going to get a whole total body workout on my show, starting off with a warm-up, aerobics, strength training, cool down, and stretching every Friday from 11:30 to 12 right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Women Empowerment Talk Radio, your roadmap to business success. Tune in every Sunday at 3 p.m. on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, providing resources and sharing motivational experiences from the everyday entrepreneur. Tune in Women Empowerment Talk Radio every Sunday, 3 p.m. on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
This is Tyrone with God Is, and the inspiration of gospel music also on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. We give out free food each and every Saturday from 11 to 2. And so we want you to come on out and support us. We love on your community. And we also have a fish fry once a month. We want to raise funds, put back into the community. And so come on, support us. We need your love. And also, if you want to be connected with us, go to Rainier Avenue Radio.world, to the website, Facebook, Instagram, and God Is. And as God Is got a website, we need your help, community. So come on out and get your free food each and every Saturday it is. And so we asking for donation, whatever you feel to give from your heart to the mind. And as we're doing it right here for you, go to our website and touch love and give back. And so come on by 810 23rd Avenue, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, your community radio station and inspiration of all the things we do in your community.
Welcome back to the impacts of the coronavirus right here on Rainier Avenue. There you are. Zandria, can you hear me? Okay, we're having the same issue. We'll have O'Day versus Kelso at 5, I believe, and then Stanwood versus Eastside Catholic. We'll have high school playoff football action for you, and I think that we're going an alternative route now to try and make this reception happen. Oh, okay. I know that didn't work, so we'll just continue to try this other workaround. Again, if you're just joining us earlier, we had on the show Taylor Gaston, and Taylor is a program manager in policy and government affairs.
Hi, this is Zandy.
Oh, okay, there we go. Zandy, you can hear me now. Okay, they're getting it.
Perfect.
Okay. We'll see if this allows Zandy, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. It took some time, but we got it worked out.
Thank you for sticking with me.
So you probably didn't hear anything that I was saying during that entire time, where I was monologuing about the issues surrounding vaccines in general, for adults, and all of the things that went along with that, and then our 12 plus population. And now here we are at 5 to 11 years old. The landscape still moving, changing, and a lot of people still have questions. The disinformation has not stopped. The misinformation has not stopped. And now we're talking about vaccinating 5 to 11-year-olds, and parents, rightfully so, have questions. There are also parents and guardians out there who say, thank goodness it's about time.
Right.
Because they were essentially, helpless at that time to do anything, regardless of what people were doing with the political football. So here we are now. And I mentioned a little bit about you, your background as a nurse in behavioral and health, and what you're doing now, as well as a quality manager, ensuring that equity is at the central part of our improvement efforts. And wow, I don't even know how to start to unpack this. Let's just start with children's vaccine. And as a person who's doing boots on the ground type work, what is the initial reaction that you're getting from folks? There are folks who don't know about this. Of course, we're talking about schools, and if this is going to be mandated in schools. Schools are even offering vaccines now. Let's start at the beginning. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're seeing such a wide range of response from parents and families and kids. I think we see everything from people who have been waiting for so long to be able to get their children vaccinated, who are excited and motivated and are, running to the front of the line. We have folks who still really are not sure, or maybe kind of in a wait and see type space. And then we have folks that really have concerns still. And so I think despite having much of our adult population vaccinated, I think importantly for most parents and guardians and caregivers, when it comes to children, people have additional concerns. And so I think we're seeing all of those responses.
And just talking about the mental health, because we're talking about 5 to 11-year-olds, and this has been an adult conversation, and now this is centered on them, and 5 to 11 have their own things going on.
Absolutely.
Can you tell how this is impacting? Because I'm sure that there are families who are feeling like they're alone in this process. And how do I talk with my child about this? If we're a family that doesn't want to get vaccinated, how am I going to talk to my child about this if we're a family that does want to get vaccinated? And now the school is saying we're offering vaccinations. This is a lot in addition to everything else that's going on. Can you provide me some background, some information, just to say the mental health process of this? What is it? People should be aware of it. What is the impact of it? Is it affecting our 5 to 11-year-olds?
Yeah, what a great question, Tony. I mean, I think the pandemic for all of us has been a challenging and isolating, a stressful experience, but even more so for our children who really rely on that school environment for a lot of their socialization and support, the ability to contact their friends, be with their friends in person. I think it has taken a toll on our children and their health and their well-being. And so as we approach this new stage, of the pandemic, children are much more aware, right, than I think sometimes adults give them credit for, of what is going on, of people's perceptions, and they have their own thoughts, opinions, and concerns. So as we think about this new opportunity for 5 to 11-year-olds to become vaccinated, which is so important, I think involving them in that discussion, just like we've been talking with them about the pandemic and why it's so important and what it means to us as a family and to us as a community to take this step and move forward and get vaccinated is really important. So they understand the why and what it will really allow us to do in terms of returning to so many of those activities that we all value that maybe they haven't really had a chance to engage in the same way.
And we know that as adults, there are side effects to getting the jab, if you want to call it that, or getting the vaccine. I don't know if the jab is the thing that they're doing to make it something that's just very. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Getting the vaccine, and I'm sure for a lot of parents, the concern is, well, wait a minute, my 5 to 11-year-old, are there going to be side effects? What should I anticipate if this is happening? Can you talk a little bit about that, the potential for side effects and what those might be as parents prepare to make this decision to get vaccinated or have their child get vaccinated?
Absolutely. I think it's really important to understand what the side effects are. Ooh, can you hear me still, Tony?
Yes.
Okay, great. And also be able to help our children anticipate what those side effects might be. So it reduces some of their fear or concerns about moving forward and getting the vaccination. So the side effects for children are very similar to what we saw in adults. So there can be some pain or redness at the injection site after, so some muscle soreness, and there can be some mild joint pain, chills, fever, some swollen lymph nodes, and in rare cases, nausea. But all of these side effects are generally temporary and go away within 1 to 2 days. So I think letting children know and talking with families about what those potential side effects are, so when they come, we're not surprised by them and we're ready to offer some support and get through those first couple of days if they do have side effects.
Okay. Now, this next question I'm asking you, part of the reason I'm asking it is because folks say, I mean, you've heard a lot of stuff. It will make you magnetic. There will be a chip inserted into you. What is happening to your body or to a child's body when these adverse effects of getting the shot, the vaccine, happen? What's taking place in the body that's causing this to happen?
That's such a good question, Tony, because the mechanism for what that reactions are, those side effects are, that's our immune system responding to the vaccine. So it's exactly what we want to see happen in terms of our body mounting a defense against a outside virus, which the vaccine itself does not have any virus. It's not putting any virus inside of a child's body, but it's helping the immune system practice how to respond if it were to be exposed to a COVID-19 virus, if that makes sense. So that that's what we're seeing when we're seeing those reactions. And then of course, things like pain at the injection site are because you got an injection. And that can sometimes be painful when the needle is going into the muscle there. And so it just takes a little bit of time for that muscle to recover. But all of those responses are things that we would anticipate. And then I think also sometimes people don't have significant side effects. So I know that sometimes people might contact us or be concerned that maybe they didn't, that they're not having a response, but that also can happen as well.
Why do you think, Zandria, that parents should vaccinate their children 5 to 11 years old?
Tony, can I share a personal story with you about this?
Sure.
Yeah. So when the COVID-19 pandemic started, shortly after we pulled my older daughter, Ada, out of daycare. It was that time where no one really knew what was going on and there's all of these concerns. And so we just felt like that was the right thing to do. And thankfully my mom was nearby and was able to help us care for her and manage. But in September of 2020, we felt like, I think we just need to have her back at school. So we sent her back, and a couple of months later, on a Friday, we got a call from her daycare saying that there had been an exposure in her classroom. And so she had been exposed to somebody who tested positive for COVID for the last 3 days. So we had to bring her home, and it was very stressful, of course, to hear that. Kind of, as a parent, one of your worst fears as we were in this pandemic. And also at the time, I was 30 weeks pregnant. And pregnant people, we know now, and we were understanding then, have some higher risk factors when it comes to COVID. So for us as a family, this was a really stressful time and pretty scary. And at this time, it was just an exposure. But then a couple of days later, she spiked a fever of about 103 and began to develop symptoms, and then tested positive. And then another 2 or 3 days later, I began to develop symptoms and tested positive. And so I think it's just important to know for folks, thankfully, ultimately, we were able to sort of move through and recover, and our symptoms were mild and we didn't need any additional care. But for me, once that happened, it really shifted my thinking, because I was pregnant and it was earlier in the pandemic and the vaccine hadn't been tested in pregnant people at that point. I wasn't sure, if when it was my turn, when I was, able to get the vaccine, if I was going to do it right away, or if maybe I should wait until after I had the baby. But going through that experience of having our whole family get sick and how it impacted us, and thinking about folks who were in different positions who may have had worse outcomes, after that really motivated me to get vaccinated as soon as I could. And now that we're in this place and stage where our children can get vaccinated, I guess I would just really encourage everybody to move forward and take action now, and find that appointment and go to that place, or talk to your doctor if you have additional questions. Because from the experience of having COVID and having COVID while pregnant and watching my child have COVID, I just would really encourage everybody that it's the right thing to do, and it's the right thing to do as soon as possible for yourself, for your family, and for our community.
We just heard your personal story, Zandria. We're almost out of time, unfortunately. Really quickly, because I said we would talk about this, and you shared your personal story. What do we know about getting vaccinated while you're pregnant, and the impact that could have on the unborn child? And I'm sorry, I got to make this quick, but just really quickly, if you can get that in there.
Very quick. Okay, so we do not believe that the COVID vaccine is safe. The COVID vaccine is safe during pregnancy. Now we have a lot more information of thousands of pregnant people having been vaccinated. And we know that there's a higher risk for complications when we do get COVID while pregnant. So it's really important for people to who are pregnant or considering getting pregnant or breastfeeding to get vaccinated to protect themselves and their baby.
And about 20 seconds, final words for you, Zandria. Anything that you'd like to say, those who are watching, listening right now?
Yeah, just thank you so much for this time to be here. Really want to encourage everybody to get vaccinated. The state has a really wonderful vaccine navigator site if you're wondering where you can get vaccinated. And if you want additional information about COVID and pregnancy, or the vaccine in pregnancy, or getting the vaccine for children, please go to the Kaiser Permanente Washington website. There's lots of great resources there. And we are offering vaccinations for our members and for anybody in the community. So go out and get vaccinated.
Zandria, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Tony.
You've been listening to the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities here on Rainier Avenue Radio .world. A little later this evening, high school football, playoff football. We've got O'Day versus Kelso at 5 o'clock live here right on Rainier Avenue Radio. And then just after that game at 7:45, Stanwood taking on East Side Catholic. The loser out, the winner moves on. And that game starts at 7:45. That's it. That's all the time that I have. That's going to do it for the kid. It's me, Tony B, on behalf of Rainier Avenue Radio, thanking you for listening and saying, remember, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you cannot, you are probably right. I'm out. Peace.